It's the Miz. This is your midday. I want to talk about it. Very intriguing rumors out there, you know. I was crucified by people. Labeled once again, even by my own family in the Blue Crew. I was labeled some type of name. Because I saw things in Shador, red flags. I still see them. Both those guys at the top. There's a lot of rumors that the Giants are not as interested as some of the media and fans out there in Shador Sanders. Who, don't get me wrong, I still think can be a very good quarterback. In the right situation, just as any other quarterback. I've always said, places, locations, type of organization, system. This is what make or break a quarterback these days. This is not the 80s and 90s where these quarterbacks come out of college and they're going to be a sure thing. They're going to create the system for your franchise. They're going to raise the team. We don't have that today. Very rare. Most guys are coming out and you better have the system, the coach, the organization. Can they handle the pressure of the city they're going to? New York is a different animal, right? We've spoken about this. Old stuff. If Dallas Cowboys hire Deion Sanders, and let me tell you something. I mentioned this a year ago to people when it was far, far in the fog. I said, Deion is going to come back to coach. He's going to coach the NFL, not come back. He's going to come to the NFL and keep an eye on the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones loves those big names. He loves the spotlight. It's not what necessarily wins, but it's a sure match. Deion Sanders goes back home to Dallas where he played big time in his career. And if Deion's going to Dallas, Shador Sanders is going to Dallas, you can bet your life on it. Because Deion will dictate the top of the draft. And the Dallas Cowboys are going to trade up. Whether they go to 1, if the Titans want to move out of there. If the Titans love Cam Ward, they're going to take him. Then Dallas would go to the Browns, who probably cannot afford a Dak Prescott would be in the mix in the trade. But I don't know how the Browns come up with that money. For the money they're paying Watson, I don't know how they come up with this contract for Dak. But I would say the Browns would be the bullseye. Dallas would have to give up at least 2 1s, maybe a 2. Dak Prescott, because really what Dallas would be doing is you're getting a veteran quality quarterback, but what Dallas is really doing is they're trying to unload that money, that contract that they've screwed themselves into. Jerry Jones paying Dak, he went way too far with this contract. Now, I think Dallas would have to give up an extra 1, like 2 1s to make up for that. You got to compensate for trying to unload Dak. You give up a Dak and you give up another 2, whether it's this year or next year. And you're going to have to also offer to pay some of that contract. Because nobody's taking on that contract that Dak has. No one in their right mind with a 31-year-old Dak coming off an injury. But if Dallas is willing to do all those things and willing to help out with the contract financially, they may get to come up and get Shador, which none of the teams up top are going to take. If Deion tells them that Shador doesn't want to play for you, he's my son, he's going to play for me in Dallas, and I'm pretty sure the NFL, the league, will stick their hand a little bit in there, and manipulate things. Leave it alone. Let the kid go play with his father. No team is going to want to be the organization that takes that away from both of them, obviously. So all the makings are there. That if Dallas signs Deion as a head coach, you could bet your goddamn life Shador's going to be a Dallas Cowboy. It makes all the sense in the world. Now, would Dallas and the Giants do business like that? That I don't know. Highly unlikely. There are rumors. But I think now the Giants are kind of getting off the Shador train somewhat. I've said, and I've gotten ridiculed for. But the biggest scouts out there all said the same thing. On the down low, Dart Jackson might be the best NFL material quarterback. NFL type ready for the NFL quarterback in this draft, and you could get him later. It ain't going to be that far later that people think. I'll bet you right now, Dart's not really falling into the second round. If he did, it would be like the first pick or two. Can the Giants get a Dart Jackson at the second pick in the second round? Maybe. They'd be gambling a little bit. You'd be taking a chance, especially when you have no quarterbacks in this room. And listen, quote me, the very first few days of free agency, this guy Joe Schoen better fucking wake up and hop off his ass. This is the biggest offseason in Giant history, and Joe Schoen's career's on the line, and Dable. And you better make some moves. It's time to gamble. It's time to make some real moves, and you need to be creative. You got to create more picks. So, Kayvon's got a year on his contract. He hasn't lived up. He's never going to be that top 5 edge, probably not. You're not going to pay him Brian Burns money, so trade him right now, right ahead or in this draft. Get yourself a second-round pick for Kayvon if you can. I think a second-round pick would be a match for a young Kayvon. Let him go somewhere else because you're not going to pay him next year, and we got to stop letting people walk out the door. You get a second-round pick, now you got 2 twos. You can use those twos to come back up, way up into the first if you want to. Middle of the first, and grab your quarterback, whether it's Dart, or I can see Dable's going to be the guy really having their hands in on picking this quarterback. It's going to be his quarterback. That's why he was brought back. And he might like Milroe, because Milroe fits his RPO and his style. And Milroe has some big upside. He's going to have to learn the NFL game. But he is a poor man Lamar. And his legs are unbelievable. And Dable wants that in his quarterback. And I'm sorry, whether you like Dable or not, he's here. And I believe that they're going to be here more than 1 more year. They got 2 years on that contract. They draft their quarterback. They're getting there 2 to 3 more years. It is what it is. You heard Mara loud and clear. Forget all that nonsense on the last day about, I'm getting tired of losing. They better win next year. Stop. He's just doing that to appease the angry fans because he knows on that moment, that day, the fans were not happy with bringing these guys back. So he got to give the fans something to feel good about. Facts are, he wants stability. He ain't looking to turn it all around again and go through that process yet again. It's a bad look on him. These guys will have at least their 2 more years on their 5-year contract to develop a quarterback and keep on building this team. And this is the biggest offseason to do it. You go get a Fields. You look for a free agent corner, maybe a guard. Keep stacking this O-line. It ain't ready yet. It needs another 2-3 pieces. You got to have depth on this O-line as we see every year. At 3, I'm drafting Abdul Carter, the best, most impact player in this draft. Or Hunter. All right? A weapon on both sides of the ball. Those are 1 of the 2. I'd rather have the edge. You trade Kayvon in this draft for a 2. You draft Carter at 3. You got Burns and Carter. You're now getting back to New York Giants football, an identity of fierce front defense and an elite pass rush. This guy Carter is all that. Scary freak animal. Micah Parsons to a T. Mirror image. Penn State, number 11, plays like him, might even be an actual better pure edge rusher. If there's a big trade back a couple of spots, you could do that too. That's up to Joe Schoen, but he better come up with some magic out of his hat this year. 1 pick here and 1 pick there isn't going to do it. You're going to have to create more picks. You got to steal from the cookie jar. You got to come up with a major impact player at 3. That's Hunter or Carter. Or even Graham, the defensive tackle from Michigan. Then you got to come back up and go get a real quarterback. If Shador and Ward are gone, because Faith had it that way before you drafted, and the Cowboys are now going to get completely involved and give up the world for him, cool, that's fine. You got Milroe and you got Dart Jackson, and I would even think about double dipping for Howard in the 4th round. Howard looks like a damn good quarterback out of Ohio State. It doesn't hurt to have 2 young kids compete, right? Iron sharpens iron. Let's get a competition going. And you already, before you even got to the draft, on the very first day of free agency, you need to call up Fields, and land Fields as a free agent. A 1-year prove-it deal to me for Fields. You're going into the draft not desperate, but you're still going to get guys. Imagine a new quarterback room with Fields, let's say Dart Jackson or Milroe, and then a Howard later on in the draft. Huh? Well, that's a major upgraded quarterback room than the Giants have had in about 7 fucking years. It's time to go there. You add a corner somewhere. You pick up a defensive tackle in this draft because it's a deep defensive tackle. We're going to stop the fucking run with a new tackle, the guys we have in Dexter. And I'd love a power bull running back in the middle round, somewhere around whatever it is, 4th round. Go get a power running back to add with Tracy. And let's start to get back to New York Giants football. Let's go there. That kid out of Skibo out of Arizona is the exact type of Giant running back we grew up on. A bowling ball bulldozer. Blue-collar animal. You add him with Tracy if we could somehow get him. I don't know if he'd be there in the 3rd round. If you did trade Kayvon for another 2nd rounder, you got 2 2nd rounders. You'd have 1 left over if you wanted to grab him there. Let's start to get back to physical Giants football. It is not far-fetched. It actually wouldn't be that hard to do this offseason. It's all right there. And you're going to have a $60, $65 million cap space to get a couple of guys at free agency. I want to do my damage through the next 2 drafts over the next 2 seasons. But you add a couple pieces. Maybe you go get a big-time wide receiver on the market. You know, it don't have to be a Higgins. There's other receivers out there. You just look for one. Maybe make a trade for one. Draft one in the 3rd round. If somebody wants a Wandell for the 4th round pick, I'd do that also. Because we are not resetting, but we are trying to sort of reset and arm at the same time. The quarterback room is going to get an overhaul, and I believe we're going to walk into training camp with a much improved quarterback room. But also don't lose sight on other pieces. A defensive tackle. If you could get a Carter, the best edge in this draft, might be the best edge to come out in a couple of years. Dude, watch this guy. Then go watch Parson. Tell me they're not the same guy. They even look like twins. Identical. We missed that animal. It was a huge mistake. Well, here we are with another chance to get him if the Browns don't grab him. And look, if Shador does get to 3, you know, and Joe Shane loved him because he did a lot of homework. Only Joe Shane and this scouting team, okay? Brown, Dable, they know because they've been there for months. If Shador's the guy they want, or if it was all smoke, and it's actually the guy they don't want. They know better than all us Twitter fans. They know better than all the content creators because they've done the homework face-to-face, hands-on for months. And it's going to be very interesting. It's intriguing. And I'm looking forward. And Dallas might be the one team in this league that's going to dictate this entire draft. And at the end of the day, if Dallas dictates the top of the draft, it might actually be a positive for the Giants because we'll sit back and let things fall into our lap. But Joe Shane, you got a second chance, a second life. You better be aggressive. You better be smart overall. Do not reach. And you better have a plan to get more. Get more picks. Kayvon, Wandell, these are assets you could trade for picks to get younger, good talent out of this draft and reset the clock for yourself and Dable. I'm midday in the Miz. Miz in the midday. Either way, I'm still here. And I'm always going to be here.